So in our last class, we looked into the questions from the midterm, and before that, we had a discussion about innovations during the lab classes. Right? I'd like to get back to that, but before I get there, I think we have a pressing matter at hand that I haven't given you any assignment to work on. And if you don't try something on your own, if you don't write programs, it's not going to help any. So in today's class, I'm going to introduce some of the controls, the JavaFX controls you need in your assignment, and then I guess I will give the assignment in today's class. All right, I'll officially declare that and post it in our Google Classroom. So the assignment that we are targeting is a banking system, right? Through that, we'll be able to open an account, we'll be able to do regular transactions, we'll also be able to view the transaction histories, like on which date, how much amount did I deposit, how much amount did I withdraw, all these things will be recorded. If I wanted to print a statement, I could do that as well. Okay. So, first of all, let me create a new project. It's going to be bits and pieces here and there, but you can take all these ideas and combine them somehow. Right? JavaFX XML application, that's what we're going to create. And let me just call this assignment demo. We'll have some controls in here. And let us put it in our Spring 2017 Java folder as well. Right. So let me just give you a brief idea of what we are going to design over here. Paper style, I will go for a plain one. So what I would like to do is I want to show you how the lists work. So let's say as a bank teller, for the people who sit in the front desk of the bank, they're the tellers. You go to them with a request to withdraw amount or to pay some bills, any sort of service, they're called the tellers, T-E-L-L-E-R, teller. And the ATM, we call ATMs, right? We have a lot of ATMs around the city. Do you know what ATM stands for? Yeah, that's what it is, automated teller machine. So that's the same term we use there. Okay, so imagine we have a user interface for a bank teller or a bank officer who's going to help us open a bank account. So we're going to provide information like the name of the account, the address, I want to do that. So we got name and address. We also can have phone number, email address, and all these things. Let me just say that we will add them as needed, but for now let us just consider name and address, and we will have a field for the balance. It's hard to write like that with the mouse. And we will also have a account number, but this number is going to be auto-generated somehow. Okay. And what I need extra over here this will be a form through which we will be able to create a new bank account, or you can call this the add button or the save button, whatever you would like to call. but let me just say that this one lets you create a bank account. Okay. But it would be nice if we have some sort of system through which all the bank accounts are listed, and we can click on a bank account and make some edits. So for example, if a client comes to our bank and says that I have an account with you, but I want to update my address. So we can update the address from here and hit a save button. So we'll have a create button to create a new account. We will also have a save button that will help us update an account. So what I want on the left side would be a list of all the bank accounts that we have already. Right? We will have bank accounts, and then we will have a search box through which we can also search for a particular client, maybe based on the account number, maybe based on the name. We can search for all those clients. So that's what I was saying, that we will have this search box, and we will have a list of all these accounts. It's going to be a scrollable list like this. We can see all the accounts, and we can, let's say, click a particular account, and that account's details will be shown over here. Is the purpose of the project clear to you? Okay. We may have other tabs. So maybe I pick an account, and maybe this client wants to do a transaction. It can be a withdrawal, it can be a deposit, whatever it is. We can have another interface for that, and we can also view the transaction history in some way. If you understand how to work with a list, then we can possibly use that to view the transaction history as well, so that we can see on which date what transaction took place. So it's that's the entire thing we want to get to, but I want to do it in bits and pieces. So this is the first thing that we would like to address. And so far we don't know how to work with databases. I mean, some of you may have known already, like if you're in an advanced state. But so far what we can do at least is we can save all these records into a plain text file. We can then read from the text file and populate this thing. All right, so let us get started. We got this assignment demo. I mean, that's the base application. So first of all, let us start with the visual design, placing all these things in one place. The fxml document.fxml. And obviously I don't need these two things. We'll do it in a slightly different way. So the things that we need can actually be placed in a grid-like pattern. Right? You can imagine that we have a grid that has multiple rows and columns. So we can design it in that way. And in our scene builder, that's going to be our start. So we can throw in a grid pane right here, and in here we can put in the labels. So one for the account number. I need to make some room here. All right, so we got a account number, we got account name, and then we can go for address, although it's going to be a little bit tricky to write the address into the file, but we'll see how we do that. And we need some more rows, so that's that. What's this one? The balance. See, we need text fields for 3 of these things and a text area over here, because the address can be multi-line, right? So let us make some provision for that. Yeah, we go for text field, and it's just drag and drop all these things over here. This one is not a text field, it's going to be a text area instead. So text area is right here, we can drop that right there. And finally another text field to finish it off. Where's this? Okay. That didn't drop into the right place, so let me do this one more time. Alright, so we got this text field. So 3 text fields, 1 text area, and that's it. Okay. We need some more room for the buttons that we're going to place. So let me just place another row below, and that's going to be for the buttons and everything else that we will place. We should also have a status bar. Okay, but I'll design that later on. Now I need to expand this a bit, and what we can do is we can say that this is going to be, well, this grid pane will fit to the parent, so whatever size we have for the parent we can use the entire thing. And for the grid pane itself, why do I not get that? Oh, I got -44. Alright, that's the issue. I'm going to leave some space all around so that whenever we increase the size of the anchor pane, the size of this thing increases as well. This grid pane is giving me a hard time, and I'm not entirely sure why it is. That's slightly better. Yeah, that'll do. Okay, so this is pretty much it. We got all these fields in place, and well, probably I'd like to shrink it down a bit. So grab the anchor pane and then shrink that down to a particular size. Got a bit of an issue. Oh, that's with the spacing. See, the address, we got this text area over here which should take more room, but when you use grid panes it's going to use even amount of space for all the rows. So what you could do over here is you can bring down the balance into the next field, next row rather, and then take this space of 2 rows for the address field. That way you give it a bit more area over here. Okay, that is probably going to be a better design. Okay, so whatever it may be, like how much room you have in here, you can place them as you want. But what we want to hook it with is like we have to have some what's that called, the code, so that we can write down the FX IDs, and we will place some buttons through which we can act. We're not done with the design though. There is one important part to it. Like I want to have a sidebar where we will have a list along with a search box. That's the target. So before I even go there, I wanted to add another row below, because I wanted to add a button, at least one button for now. We'll see how we go for the remaining ones. So for now, at least leave the create button in, and we'll take care of the rest later on. Okay. Now with that said, I want to have something on the left side. One easy way to do it would be to see, we got this anchor pane already, right? what we can do is we can wrap that into a H box. So if you want to have two panes side by side horizontally, then you can wrap them in an H box. That's one way to go. Or what we can do is we can also put it into a split pane. Let me show you both the options, and maybe that would make sense. See, right now I got H box, and inside that H box we got a anchor pane, right? What we can do is we can bring in another anchor pane right here. See, we have that on the right side. So we have this thing on the left and this is on the right. And if you place something in here, let me throw in a button just to show you how this may look like. See, these things are placed side by side. And it's actually in your control. If you want this anchor pane on the left side, you can just drag and put it here. So these two things are placed side by side. Is that clear how we came about this? Let me undo these steps to show you what's the other option that we got. We had this anchor pin, and what we did is I right clicked on it, I said wrap in, and then there is this H box. Okay. The other option, as I was saying, is that you got an option for a split pane. Alright, so let us follow the same process. Let us bring in another anchor pane, and we can then put that into the split pane, and you see that there is a vertical bar right there. And just to show you, as we had it before, we can place a button like that, and then we can also rearrange things. We can put it over here so that this thing comes on the left side. Now if you go for preview with a split pane, you actually have more control over here. You can drag the position of the bar, so you can make it bigger or smaller, like so. So it's up to you how you want to space these things. Whether you want to go for horizontal layout, in that case you go for H box. And if you want to have a movable border right in the middle, you go for the split pane. And both of them, they have their own use cases, right? I'd probably go with this setup just so you know how to do this. And what I want to do here, I don't want to place a button yet. So let me delete that. What I want to place instead is going to be a text field, so that we can use that for searching. Oh, this is not this preview, right? Okay, so we got this text field, and I want to put a list right underneath that. So the way we can do this is we can wrap it in a V box. That's how things will be vertically stacked one after another. And then this is what I was talking about, a list view. So we will throw that inside that V box, and that's how it gets placed. Okay. Now for the V box, well, again, you can say that this is going to take all the space available, and we can do so just by leaving equal amount of space all around. And now you see that it takes up all the space that's available. And for vertical grow, I want it to take all the space that's available, so I can just say always, so it's going to take vertically all the available space. Now there is a very nice thing in Scene Builder. It has this option to show sample data. So now you see what a list view looks like, right? If you look for the preview, see, this is what I want. This is not the bank accounts, it's just garbage data, some dummy data. What I want to do is that all these bank accounts will be listed over here. Maybe we will have the account number followed by the account name, so that we can track a particular account quite easily. We can then click on that account, and all the account details will appear over here on the side. Is the actual operation clear to you, what we are targeting. Right? And what we can do over here is that we can have a search box. We can type in the account ID, and as we do that, our list will be filled with all the accounts that will match that ID. Well, the ID is a unique thing, only one account will match. If you type in the name of the account, we may have two accounts of the same name. Right? So all the accounts that match, they will be listed over here, and the one that we want, we will pick from there. Even with the ID, if we just type in a few digits and it shows us all the options that are available, then that can also help. But that's a bit of advanced things. We don't really need that right away. I mean, this would do for now. So that already, I mean, gives us a purpose what we want to do here. And let me space things out a little bit better so that we have a bit of wiggle room. Now, before you, well, I need to leave a bit of margin over here because it looks a bit odd. So at least 5 pixels down here to match this one. Okay. Now, what I'm getting at is that we want to work with this text field. For the search operation, we want to use the account number, the name, the address, and the balance, and all these things, right? So, in order to do that, we need to have label for actually the FX IDs for each of them. So let's say we have a number field, we have a name field, we have address area, and then one balance field. For this one, this is going to be our search field, and this is going to be our account list, bank account list. Okay. So for the create button, we need some action. So let's just say handle create action. All right. So that's what we can do about the design. And when we go back to this thing, we can just hit make controller, and then our controller gets updated. So over here, the label has no purpose. The button action, it has no purpose. Okay. That's all we got. So that's one part of the story. We need something else, right? We need our account, bank account information right in there. So let us create some dummy data right here. Let's say we have account number 1, account name, that's that, okay, and then we have address, and the address is going to be, yeah, it's going to be a multi-line address, and that's going to be a bit of an issue. Let us try to avoid this in some way. So let's say we have 24 Kamal Atatürk Avenue. I mean, that's what our address is, Air Tower, right? Okay, so the addresses will be multi-line, and they will, if you're going to write them, they will appear like this. But that creates a bit of a problem for us because, as you can see, that we have a label for each of the lines. The first word before the colon, it tells us exactly what it is. Okay. So this one says this is an account number, we have account name, we have address, and now in the second line I don't have anything, right? We don't have a label. So in order to keep things simple for us in the text file, at least, let us invent some sentinel, some sort of separator that will help us write everything in one line. But when we display this to the user, we are going to put it in multi-line. Is this view clear? That our address in the text file will be written in a single line, but when we show that to the user, we will split it out into multiple lines. That's just for convenience, because when we read through all these things, each of these lines will contain one field of information. But if we have the same information spread into multiple lines, that will make our life a little bit harder to parse, to separate out these things from the text files. So that's one thing, and what else? The balance. Let's say that's that. All right. Let me be a little bit more generous, and that's what we got. And we can have another account information over here. I don't know. Well, I forgot the address. Let's just say it's 64, the BBA campus, and let us make Rakib Sir a bit richer. Yeah. Who's going to complain, right? So now that we have this account information, and we can have many more accounts, let us just go and save this. This is our assignment demo. We have accounts.txt. So somehow we need to read all these accounts. We need to show them, put them over here for the user, and we also need to work with this thing. So what we need right now is a class to represent bank accounts. And ideally what we should do is we should start with a YAML class diagram, because we know what are the things we need to store for a bank account. What are those? We need a bank account number, we need a bank account name, we need the address, and we need some balance, right? So these are the four fields we need for that. So ideally you'd be creating the YAML class diagram and then you start writing your class. But I'm running a bit late, so what I'm going to do is I will just skip that, because I guess you guys know how to do that. And create this bank account type already, right? So what we have in here is private integer bank account. Well, let's call this account number, private string account name, private string address, private double balance. So now that we have all these things, let us bring in a constructor, and also the getters is already encapsulated, and maybe I would like to change the address, so let us get a set address method for us. What else? At this point, I mean, I think this will do, right? And to make things just the same as this one, we need to come up with some other concept, like let us have a public string toString defined for this, and what we're going to do is we're going to return a string that looks exactly like this. Can we create a string like this? We should return what? Account number colon and then plus account number. So that's one part, right? But we also need account name. What's the account name? We got the account name from here. We need the address. Let's put a colon over here, and then this is going to be the address. Okay, and finally we need the accounts. Okay, so that's how we will have our bank account. We obviously need two more methods, the withdraw and deposit. Public void withdraw, so that we can withdraw some amount. Okay, and we will also have public void deposit of a certain amount. And for now, I'll just leave it blank. We will fill in the details. We have done that before, so no big deal, right? Let us quickly test this out, if we can. That when we run this project, the initialize method will be called first. So let us just test this over here. There are better ways of testing a Java program, but I haven't talked about that yet. I mean, maybe we'll do that in a different class. So let us just create a bank account right away. Bank account A equal to new bank account, right? And we're going to give it an account number. Let's say account number is 3. And we need to give the name of the account. So okay, somewhere in Shantinagar, I don't know his address, he's shifting, and let's give him some money. Alright, so we have created this account and we can print this out onto the console, right? So we just say system.out.println A, so print out this bank account, and let us just test it out, see how it works. So this is what we got. Account number, that's the account number, account name goes there. We have the address, and in the next line comes Taka, and then we have the balance over here. So you see right away we have some issues. Okay. They're all in the same line, except for Taka, it goes into the new line. Okay. So we need to fix these things. How? Well, we have to do it in here, so that after every piece of information, we have a forced new line, like so. And we don't need one after the balance because we're going to print it using print line. So let us try this one more time. And now that looks a bit better. Let me pull it up a bit so that you can all see that. Oh, that doesn't help. Maybe that does. Alright, so we see that the account number 3 is here, account name is over here, address is here, but it is split into 2 lines, and that again is a issue. We don't want to write it like that. We will put a semicolon over here and bring Taka over here. Semicolon or any other character that's not going to appear within that address. The balance is rightly displayed. So my question to you, what can we do to bring Taka over here and put some separator right in here? How do you suggest we do that? Because we have already passed this address, and within the address we have a new line. How do we replace that with a semicolon?
Search between the index of those three
and find the new lines and then replace those, right? Well, I'm going to do pretty much the same thing, but I'm going to do it in a very simple way. And for that, you need to know the string API. So I'm going back to what I said before, well, long before really, that you need to know the Java API because there are a lot of things that has already been done. And if you know those methods, you can actually call them, but that's the trick. Like, you have to know what is done already. All right. So let me drag this down. So yeah. What I'm saying is that there is a method that does exactly that. Dot replace I hate that. Replace all. You see, it takes a regular expression. I'm not going to talk about regular expression in this course. That's a topic for CSC 3025. Okay, you give a particular pattern, and whenever it finds that pattern, that's what regular expression is. It gets replaced with something else. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look for the new line, and we're going to replace that with a semicolon. So anywhere in the string, if you find a new line, you're going to replace that with a semicolon. Let us again test this out. We have 2 instances running, I guess. See, we got Dhaka appearing over here, and if you had over here, if you had more new lines, that wouldn't be an issue. See, we got all these new lines, and this is what we can then write in a file, that we can take this piece of information and put it into the file right away. No big deal, because all these things are nicely separated. And when we show it into the text field, what do? We read this part and replace all the semicolons with what? The new line character, so they can appear in multiply. Okay, so it's a very simple trick. Okay. We need to do something else though. We need to read the first bit, and based on whatever it is, if it's account number, we read the next part and then put that into account number. If we read the account name, put it in the account name. Now, within this interface, what we're going to do is, as a user, if you're going to create an account, we're going to fill in all these details. Hit the create button, creates the account, saves it into the text file, right? Now, this is where I'm going to say that the account number field over here, it shouldn't be something that you type, okay? Because then the client may come to you and ask for, I don't like this account number 13, give me another account number. And it shouldn't be an option, right? Account number should be auto-generated. If you ask for a credit card, you don't get an option to say what your credit card number is going to be. When you get into Southeast University, you don't get an option to say, this is going to be my ID number. It is what it is. Gets auto-generated. These numbers are auto-generated. Right? If you want to leave an option that the user is going to write the number, then this is fine. This is how it is done. But what I'd like to do here instead is that I don't want to supply this number at all. Okay? They're going to be auto-generated. The first account number is going to be 1, the second account number is going to be 2, and so on. How do we do that? Okay, this is not going to match because we have the account number as a parameter over here, and I'm going to take this off. So here's this issue that we have this account number and we don't know how to assign this. How is this account number generated? Whenever we add a new account, the serial number it's going to get is 1 plus however many account number we already have. So let's imagine that we have 10 accounts already. The 11th client comes in, he's going to get the account number 11. It's as simple as that. Okay? And that's how your ID works as well. Like if you get enrolled in, let's say, summer 2018, you will start with 20181, right? And then we'll have a bunch of zeros. The first student that gets enrolled will get ID number 1, the second one gets ID number 2, and so on. So here's the problem. We need to know how many total accounts we got. Okay? Because the total account number, this account number is going to be total accounts plus 1, right? We don't know yet how we get this total accounts over here, but somehow we get that thing, and this total accounts plus 1 is the account number. And after this account is created, total accounts should be increased, right? Is this thing clear? So how do we do it? Because if you say that I'm going to create a total accounts, private integer total accounts, let us create one like that. Now it doesn't complain, but let us have a quick look at this thing, that let us create two accounts instead, right? So I can duplicate this. We're going to create another account. Alright, so let us just print both the accounts, and what's going to happen is that both of them, they will have the same account number, 1 and 1. Why so? See, what we're doing is we're saying that the account number will be total accounts plus 1. So it should be, for the first one, it should be ID number 1, the second one should be ID number 2. However, the way we have kept all these things, it means that they will have separate copy of the account number, separate copy of all these things, account name, address, balance, and total accounts. Because even though they're husband and wife, right? I mean, that's a different fact. They're not going to share the same bank account, right? Just because one person has 50,000 taka in their bank, the other person doesn't have to have the same amount. Maybe it's going to be a different number, right? And that's what we can do over here, that we can have different balances, and it works like that. So in the same way, the account number, the total accounts, it has two different copies, and both of them have value 0. You need to understand this bit. This is crucial. We're not talking about the user interface. We're talking about something that is very fundamental to object-oriented programming. And all these variables, these are called instance variables for a reason. For every object that you instantiate, for every object that you create, all these things have a separate copy. So we have one copy of all 5 attributes for Ashik sir. We have 5 copies of this for Roxana. They are all different. And for both of them, the total account says we are 0. That's why we have 0 plus 1 for both of them, and that's why it doesn't work. See, this thing does not work. We get account ID 1 in both the cases. So that's why you need to understand that this cannot belong to the objects, because each object will have a separate copy of total accounts, and they will all start from 0. We can't do that. We have to have a common copy so that initially it starts with 0, but for the second one it becomes 1. For the third one it becomes 2. So the total account keeps on increasing like so. And that is something we do by simply adding a keyword called static. Okay. I haven't answered this question before, but you guys have seen this, that we have public static void main. We have this keyword static. I never talked about it before. Let me just run this project and show you that this works, and then we can explain this. See, we got 1 and then 2. What static does, it's a very simple keyword. It makes sure that the field that you're tagging with the static, it becomes a property of the class. It is not a property of the object. It's not an instance variable, it's a class variable. So when you make it a property of the class, all the objects that you create will have the same copy of this variable. So if you change the value in one place, it gets updated in all the places. So what happens over here, when we create an account, see what we do. Look at the constructor. We take the current value of total accounts, which initially is 0. We increment that. We add, well, not increment that, we add 1 to it. And that's what our account number is, right? But at the end, what do? We increase the total number of accounts. So that now becomes from 0 to 1. So the next client, when it comes in, what do? We add 1 to that. We get account number as 2. And for the next client, well, the total number of accounts is now 2. For the third client that walks in, he or she is going to get 2 plus 1, 3. So that's how you auto number things with static. So whenever you have some attribute that needs to be shared across all the objects, what do? We simply add the word static in front of it. Okay. So I think we are pretty much ready to work with this one. What we need to do is we have to have a action for the create thing, right? So that we can write to that file. And let's see if we got a placeholder for this. I don't need this. Yeah, we have a handle create action, right? This is for testing. So let me comment this out. Okay, we'll do something else over here in the initialize. But at least we can create a new bank account with the handle create action. So what are the things we need when we create a bank account? I mean, what's going to be in this body over here? We have to create the bank account first, right? How do we create that? From the user interface. We have to get the values. Okay, so let us grab them. We need to have the account number, and that's going to come from where? That's going to come from the number field. Well, no, this is not going to be in there because you're not going to give any chance for anyone to write in here, and that you do by making it disabled. Let me show you the preview. See, no one can type anything into it, but we can show data right here. So account number is not needed. Why not needed? Because it's going to be auto-generated. Okay, so the next thing, what do we need over here? Account name. How do we get that? Name field.getText. Then what do? We get the address. So we get the address area.getText. Okay. And we get the balance as getText. All right. So is this clear? That we grabbed all this information from where? From the name field, the address area, and the balance field. Once that's done, we can then create a bank account with all these information that we got. Account name we got the address, and we got the balance. Okay. What? Oh yeah, I forgot the new keyword, sorry. So we have created this bank account, and if you wanted to print this out onto the console, we could do that. We could just say system.out.println, but we're not going to do that. We're going to print it or save it into the file. And for that we need what? We have done that for our midterm exam already, so we should know that. So let's say we got an output equal to new random access file. The name of the file is called accounts.txt. Let me make sure that that's indeed the name. Yes, accounts.txt. Okay, so we are going to write to this. That's why it has to be read write. Okay, and we need to fix a few things. We need to add the import statement. We need to add try catches. Okay, and we got to make sure that we don't destroy any of the previous account information. So it has to be in append mode. The way we switch to append mode is really very easy. We say output.seek output.length. So that takes your file pointer or the cursor that you have right at the end of the file. In our midterm exam, we had a very similar task. So we need to add a catch clause over here for IO exception, and once that's done, it's a simple matter of writing this piece of information into the file. And we do that by what method? Write bytes. Thank you. So output.write bytes, and the information is right here, account.toString. Along with this, I want to make sure that we have a new line right at the end. So you pass that, and once we are done with everything, just like a real gentleman would do, we will close the connection to this file handler, and that's it. So let us test this out. We got two bank accounts, and we're going to test this out with a new bank account. We have to give it, okay, that's not good. See, this is supposed to be disabled. I disabled it over here, but I forgot to save this thing. All right. Okay, now that's better. And some balance to go with it. Okay, so if we hit create, well, that's a problem right there. I'm not getting any feedback. Either you should clear this out and tell me whether the account was created or not. So we can fix that later on, but let us just quickly test this out. Yeah, that works. All right. What happens over here is probably we had a new line in there, and now we got an extra one. Let me test this over here just by creating another account. Again, no feedback, but let us check. Yes, we had an extra line, so let me fix that there. Okay. So now we are able to create all these accounts one after another. It's just that we have a problem that we have 1, 2, and then 1, 2. Why is that? Because we do not remember how many accounts we have already. It should be 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? But I didn't read this thing previously, that how many accounts we have already. If somehow I did that, then we'd be able to manage this in a better way. So here comes the next challenge, right? This is account number 3, and this is account number 4. Let me close this and let us go over here. If we can write everything over here, what we should do is we should clear all these text fields. So account number field, well, actually just number field dot clear, and then we have address area dot clear. We have name field dot clear, and balance field dot clear. Ideally though, there should be a private void, because it's not going to be called from outside. Clear form, there should be a method like this, and you can put in all these codes right here, and from here you're simply going to say clear form. That would make sense, right? If you have a reset button, you can just use this one method, clear form, from there. You can also use that there. And I've screwed up the formatting, so let me fix that. Alt Shift F, that would fix the formatting. So now it should actually give you a visual feedback. So the problem that we have is that we don't read the initial bank accounts that we have already, and we need to store them somewhere, right? When the program starts, we need to load up all the bank accounts that we have in the text file. Because we're not going to enter all these accounts again every time we start this program. And to do that, what we're going to do here is we're going to create a data structure for it. And I guess you guys know about ArrayList already, right? Yes, no? We had a quiz on chapter 7 that covered ArrayList, although I didn't do much here. So we're going to create a bank account of what type? We're going to create an array list of bank account type. That's why this is in angular brackets. And we can call this bank account list. We need to import this. And over here, what we need to do is when the program starts, this is where the initialize method would be called. We just say bank account list equal to new array list, and over here this is optional. You can say bank account like so, but this is not needed because Java compiler is smart enough to know that you have declared bank account list to be of bank account type. So that can be ignored, and this is actually called the diamond operator, because it can infer, it can understand that this array list will contain bank accounts only and not something else. Now, with that bank account list created, what do we want to do here? We want to read the file, we want to read the entire file, read each piece of information, read 4 lines that give us a bank account, and then put it back into an object. Okay. So this is where you're going to deal with a random access file. Let me start the code. This is going to be the input, but it's going to be from the same file, new random access file. We're going to read from the accounts.txt, and we're going to do it in the read mode. We need a few things. First of all, we need the try catch. It's going to make sure that the actually, let me do it at a statement level. Okay. All right. So it's going to check whether the file is there or not. So file not found exception to start with, and then there will be IO exceptions as we start reading this thing. So how do we read from a file though? We use read lines, right? So look at this thing, look at the file itself. We have to read 4 lines at a time. Read the account number, read the account name, read the address, read the balance. So 4 lines at a time, and then you go for the next run, right? So this is going to be something like this. While true, keep on doing the following. What's that? First of all, read a line to get the account number. Okay, how do we do that? We say input dot read line, and whatever we get, we need to convert that. And as soon as you hit that, you add a catch clause here. Okay. So what do we have next? We got the account number, then we need the we have to just read this input.read line. We need what? We got the address and then the balance. Balance is double. Thanks. There are a lot of issues already. Okay, I mean, this is definitely not going to work. Obviously, you're going to run this in an infinite loop. There has to be a break condition somewhere. You have to stop somewhere, and that somewhere is over here. If you fail to read a line, then you have to stop. Okay, so if input.readLine returns null, then you have to stop, and you need to take it apart and write a condition over there. So let us do this in a meaningful way. Input.readLine. We try to do this if account number text is equal null, then we stop, and we just write that in this way. So you break out of it. Otherwise, you convert that into an integer. Now, in this place, we'll have a lot of errors because we're not reading the number only, we're not reading the name only, we're not reading the balance only. We have a label along with it. Look at the file and you should understand that what we are reading is account number :4, and we are trying to convert that into an integer. It's not going to work. We are going to take this one out and have 4 only then you can convert that into an integer. Is that thing clear? Okay. For the balance part, if you try to convert this whole thing into double, it's going to fail. You have to somehow take this out and then convert this thing into double. Okay. So unfortunately, we have run into the end of the class. It's 11:21 already, so I'll stop. But I want to leave this as a homework. I'm going to start right from here in the next class. Okay, I'll write code, but try to do this at home. All right. Let me write this down. Okay. Because what we want to do is we want to create an object. Bank account equal to new bank account, and we will use the account number, and this is where we'll have a problem. We need to fix this. See, we didn't leave any option for a bank account constructor that takes an account number. We had that before, but I took it out. So right now I need to put it back because when you read from the file, you actually have to read the bank account number as well. So let us have this constructor as well. Where's my insert key? I forgot. All right. So I need all these things. Select all and then generate. So once you create a bank account, the number of total accounts will go up like that. So I fixed that bit. The code should compile at least. And as we are reading each and every account, what do we do with them? You're reading all these accounts. We need to store them somewhere, right? So we're going to add them into the bank account list. Now, just to show you that this program indeed will fail, let us run this project, and we see this already. Yeah, it doesn't work, right? We got number format exception because we are trying to convert account number :1 to an integer, which is never going to work. So this is where you do your homework, try to separate out the label and make sure this code compiles, and we have everything into the bank account list. And to make sure that everything works properly, what we can do is we can run a loop for bank account in what's that called? Bank account list. For each of these accounts, have we written code like this with extended for loop? No. Okay. Well, actually, I think we had it in the exam, but in the quiz, I mean, for int I equal to 0, you should know this one. How many accounts we got? Bank account list.size. That many account we got. I plus plus. So for each of these accounts, what can we do? We can just say system.out.println bank account list.get I. So whatever it is, you just print it out. And if you can read this text file properly, create the objects, put them into the array list, at the end you should get an output like this onto your console. So that's where the homework comes into play, that if you can make sure that all these things are properly read, your code should work. Right now it crashes. Is the task clear? So if you guys can fix this at home, that would be a big help. Whatever you do, like we'll start from here, we'll fix this thing here, and then we'll show all this content into the user interface as well. Right now we don't show that in the UI. Any questions on any of these things? So this is just the first part of the assignment, right? I'm not going to do the entire assignment for you because otherwise it makes no sense at all. There will be other parts where we do the transactions, where we withdraw amount, where we deposit amount, and all these things. Okay. So let me finish recording this, and I'm going to upload both the video and the code.